Welcome to another episode of Rich Politics. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to all my viewers and guests and all of those watching today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on social media across all of our platforms on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and everything else. And by the way, that music at the start really gets me pumped. Talking about pumping, well, my guest tonight has done a lot of that, but in a gym, of course. I'm talking about the gyms. Many of you will know from my broadcast that I've been a passionate advocate for making gyms essential here in Wales because of the benefits. Well, my guest tonight is somebody who has championed that cause and has been championing that cause for a very long time. She's campaigned on a whole number of issues as well and been very successful in doing so. And I'm so excited to have her on the show tonight. Her name is Leigh-Catherine and she joins me now. Good evening, Leigh-Catherine. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks so much for agreeing to come on. I'm really excited about tonight because it's an important subject because, as you will know, there was a campaign just last week, in fact, a debate in the Senate and the Welsh government to talk about whether or not to reclassify gyms to make them essential. Now, that petition got, there it is, 20,616 signatures. Now, clearly, there are people in Wales who feel that gyms should be made essential. Now, in 2021 of January, this month actually, this year, you launched this new campaign calling for the government to class gyms, pools, leisure centres, and sporting clubs as essential businesses. And the campaign is called
No Campaign, No Gain.
No Campaign, No Gain. Now, before I ask you to talk about the campaign, I want to let all of our viewers know, make sure you check out this campaign on Facebook. I'll put the little links in the bio and everything else for you, and sign any petitions that are coming up. Support Leigh-Catherine and many others, because these are about businesses and livelihoods and people's mental well-being as well. Very important. So, Leigh-Catherine, enough of me. So tell us, why this campaign?
Why this campaign? I'm an avid gym goer. I train 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. I'm lucky because I'm self-employed. I can do that. And I see the benefits that it brings, not just physical, but the mental health benefits as well. It forms friendships. It releases those lovely endorphins. You know, the benefits of exercise and the social aspect to it, they just, I mean, obviously at the moment with social distancing, yeah, we'll take that into consideration. But the benefits just outweigh the negatives. You know, exercise gives you boosted immunity. We're in a pandemic. We need our immune systems to be working as effectively as possible.
Yeah, so what are the benefits of that? Because, you know, the lockdown restrictions are there because they're saying, look, we don't want the virus to be transmitted and we want to keep people locked down for a period of time. And these are places where transmission can happen. How much transmission rates are we talking about in the gyms?
Minimal, really, really low. I mean, some of the figures I've read, they're so low. Last year, for example, there were, out of millions of visits, there was like about 100 cases, you know, it was, and that was UK wide. It wasn't just Wales. It's like 1%. I mean, the gyms, the industry, they have stepped up. Their processes are fantastic. You know, they've socially distanced machines where I go. They have made another gym area. So there's only a certain number allowed in the one gym and then you have to use the other gym. And I just think the transmission rates are so low. And the thing is, you know what? If you get COVID with a better immune system because of exercise, you're not, hopefully, going to end up hospitalised, becoming another burden. Well, not a burden. Well, a burden on the NHS at the moment. Anything is a burden because apparently they're stretched with their resources. But you're going to beat it and fight it off quicker and better. A friend of mine had it, and in 2 to 3 days, she was over it. And she herself is somebody that keeps fit. She's a gym instructor too. And her mother said, I think it's your lifestyle that's enabled you to get over this so quickly.
I was reading a report from the BBC today, actually. They've released some of the scientific reasoning behind closing gyms. It only came out today. So this interview was fantastic timing. And I read it and they talked about, even though the transmission rates are very low, there's things like where human contact can happen, even with social distancing. For example, they talked about machines that you use in the gym when you're placing your hands on different things, where you're perspiring and you're sweating. And they try to use this to justify, or the Welsh government certainly have, politicians have decided that because of the scientific advice they've received, that gyms are not a good place for to stop this transmission. What would you say to them?
I saw an article similar as well with a Welsh, journalistic publication, and it's a clickbait article because all the gyms have stepped up to the mark. Where I go, for example, the staff are constantly cleaning. Their hygiene levels were fantastic anyway. And also, the members have got responsibility. We have to clean equipment before we use it. We have to clean it afterwards. They've capped the class numbers. There's social distancing in the classes. They deep clean the studios, every night in the gym. They clean the studios after every class. So that, people are touching, blah, blah, blah. It's rubbish. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. There are cleaning sprays everywhere. It is, it's like a mammoth OCD exercise.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
relentless.
Yeah, I mean, my experience of gyms prior to the lockdown was, you've always got antiseptic spray everywhere. You wipe the machines down. You have to use them if you use a bar or anything. That's what I've done. In fact, I had Martin Lewis on a couple of weweeks ago. We were talking about making gyms essential. He runs Physique Gym in Abertelery. He's part of your campaign, isn't he? He wants to support it. But you've got a lot of businesses and a lot of people on board with this campaign, haven't you? So, what's your passion? Why do you want to do it? What is it that makes Leigh-Catherine so passionate about wanting the government to change this policy?
I'm passionate about it because of the hypocrisy, quite frankly, from the Welsh government, right? It's counterintuitive. I'm going to say it as it is. And it's not to bash the government. I want them to see we want to work with them, right? We want Wales to be healthy. Generally, in this country, there's an issue with obesity and overweight, right? So there's no gyms now for people to go. Yeah, you can go for a walk, but some people, they want to get their sweat on, they want to get their burn on, and also just going for a walk. You can't ask the local squirrel in the park about nutrition or what exercises you need to do for losing weight. Obesity as well, massive factor if you get COVID, whether you survive it or not. That's not scaremongering, that is fact, yeah? I'm passionate because Wales needs to be healthy. If you really want us not to be overwhelming the NHS, then let us be healthy. Let us boost our immunity. Let us have mental health benefits as well as the physical health benefits, not just for COVID, for everything. Going forward, it would be better to subsidise gym memberships and cheaper by the Welsh government, give people vitamin D3, all the research is coming out now about that, give people the tips on nutrition, public health initiatives, run those. Surely then, boosted immunity, the vaccines are being rolled out, open everything up with strict processes in so people can get back to work. But then if they're able to go to the gym and it's being subsidised, in the long run, it's cheaper on the NHS, it's cheaper on the government. They're not paying furlough to employers to keep people in jobs all the time. And also, talking of that, the gym industry and the leisure sector, everything that comes under that umbrella, is a massive industry for the economy. It's not a risk to go to the gym. It isn't. I know a lot of people in my gym, right? And COVID, it's not really something they've gone, I've had it, I've had it. Really, it's such a safe place. I feel so safe whether there's a pandemic or whether that's not a pandemic. Wales needs to be healthy. I want to work with the government on this. I don't want to work against the government. I want the government to realise people need to be healthy to fight off any disease, COVID, anything at all. The common cold, to help combat diabetes, which diabetes type 2, as most of us know, is diet and weight related. Again, diabetes, big factor in whether you survive COVID or not, if you get hospitalised, if you're really, really bad. It just makes no sense. It's panic. It's a knee-jerk reaction and it's panic. This is a health issue we're facing. Gyms improve your health. So you close the gyms and the pools and the leisure centres and the sporting clubs. It is nonsensical, to be frank. Nonsensical.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've won me over. I'm your biggest fan already, but I would say, the Welsh government have been trying to address this issue. As I mentioned at the start of the programme, there was a debate in the Senedd, that's the Welsh Assembly, for those of you who don't know, in Cardiff, where they were discussing the whole issue of that petition that went in with over 20,000 signatures. And I listened to the debate in plenary, which is what is called the technical term, and it seemed to me as if they were all agreeing with everything you've just said, but no real decision got made. And I just want to play a clip from Jonathan Saunders, who's one of the Conservative MSs down there, who was involved in the petition, just to hear a little bit about what goes on in the political field. Let's check this out.
At the end of last year, the committee has asked for them to be debated together because they all concern the impact that lockdown and other coronavirus restrictions have had on people's ability to be able to train and take part in sport and physical activities. The first and largest petition concerns access to gyms. This is one of a number of petitions which have been submitted to the Senedd on this subject since the beginning of the pandemic. In addition to more than 20,000 signatures gathered by the petitioner, this serves to demonstrate the strong desire many people have for gyms to remain open due to the important benefits that they can bring to both physical and mental health. This petition, which was submitted by Michelle Adams, calls for gyms to be considered essential services and as a result for them to be able to remain open even during lockdown.
There we go. I just wanted to play a little clip to our viewers there, Leigh-Catherine, because quite clearly the Welsh Government are aware of the public pressure that there is to make gyms essential. Now, obviously, this is a fresh campaign. You're enthused by it. I'm excited by it. When I seen it on Facebook, I picked up on it straight away, and I hope many of you will share this campaign as well and join the page. Put your message out there, particularly if you're in the leisure industry. And coming to leisure, I had an interesting conversation with a guy the other day. We talked about the golf, for example, fishing. These are sports where they're sole sports. You're on your own. You can play golf your own or in a bubble with two. And it seems crazy to think that somehow you're going to pass on the virus in environments like that. And of course, gyms, because this campaign isn't about just gyms, is it? It's about the whole leisure industry, isn't it?
All of it, yeah. And anything like golf, tennis, it's just crazy. To be honest, it feels like we're being patronized in terms of our responsibility and our accountability. We know there are things we have to do to stop spreading the virus. As a nation, don't underestimate us. We're not that obtuse. We really aren't. You look at the talents that have come out of Wales and they're quite astounding in their talents. So we're not a stupid nation. We're not a nation that doesn't have ability. But let's put some perspective in this. The Second World War ended in 1945. We were at risk of Nazi invasion and the whole of the UK was being bombed. Yeah? People were going about their daily business. Everything was open. People got on with it. We're in 2021. We're in something called a pandemic with a virus that has a massively high survival rate, 99.9%. I'm not downplaying the virus when it hits people who are not in such good health. I lost a client to the virus. He was a surgeon, okay? So I know it's bad news when it turns nasty. But why are people being told that they need to give up all their freedoms and be terrified of a virus that most of us will survive, when back in the war, when we were really at risk of having our freedoms taken off us, everybody was going about as normal? People need to get some perspective here. They need to stop being apathetic. In the Senedd, it's great. They're all saying the right things, but it's lip service to their processes and law that over a certain amount of signatures, it needs to be debated there. Yeah, same if you do a petition for Westminster.
Yeah.
But again, you're taking us for fools. Stop patronising us. You're saying the right things, so do some action. Because let me tell you, this is what they're all forgetting. There are elections in May. People who use gyms play tennis,
Mm.
golf, go to a swimming pool. Most of them, I would say, are also voters. That's what I would say to the Welsh Government. They're voters. And we all have a responsibility to do what's best for the nation. Yeah? Keeping a nation healthy is as important as keeping a nation safe from a virus, so the vulnerable don't die. The two of them go hand in hand. It really is that simple. Why they can't see this, or they won't see it, I think is really what it's about. Baffles me, because it's hypocrisy. Stay safe. Do your best. Do this. Well, being safe is being healthy. So let us be healthy. I don't want to go for a walk around the park, quite frankly. I'd rather be in spin 3 times a day and lifting and having a swimming outdoor pool.
Yeah.
You know, park is lovely. I'm lucky. I live near Roath Park Lake and the Wreck and the flower gardens. I'm super lucky. And I can go out and I can do that. And I'm an ex-fitness professional. I know what to do working out. But there are loads of apps people have got and YouTube that are good trainers. But it's just not the same. It's such a buzz. So come on, Welsh Government. If you really want us to be safe from this virus, then let us continue to boost our immunity, combat obesity, combat mental health issues, and physically have stronger muscles, stronger bones, and just a better all-round quality of life in terms of health by being able to do something that gives us those things.
Yeah. Leigh-Catherine, I was listening to you there, and it's clear that you're not just passionate about it, but you talk a lot of sense as well. And
thank you.
I was listening to politicians debating this, as I said, on the 13th of December down in Cardiff. And one of the politicians, I remain nameless for it's not a political thing, but they talk about, well, look, why can't you just go for I know this is going to irate you, but they say, why didn't you just go for a walk? Why didn't you just go for a stroll? Why do you need the gym? Because there are those that would say that. They'll say, well, you can cycle, you can go for a walk. Why do you need the gyms open? What would you say to them?
Okay, so for me, right, I don't really want to go for a walk because I've got an old injury, Achilles tendonitis, that flares up when I walk on grounds, whether it's round the streets, round the park. There are people that go to gyms. I've seen them. They're on crutches and they go in as part of their rehab. They can walk on the crutches, but there are certain things in the gyms that they do. There's one very famous rugby player who's been out for, I think, over a year, around 15 months, a Welsh international who had a ligament problem. He's been in the gym training. He's been coming in. What, is he going to struggle on his crutches, walking around a park, avoiding kids on bikes and dog poo? No, I don't think so. People need the structure of a gym. And as I said again, expert advice if they want it. Because yet again, if they go in and they're doing something wrong or their form is wrong, whether they're lifting or they're doing something wrong and putting their body under more strain, they get injured again. They're going to go to the NHS. It's another thing for the NHS to deal with. And with people going, doing that, hell for leather around the park or running, they might not know about the impact it has on their joints and stuff. Not everybody. I'm not saying don't run. You've got to go to a gym to do that. I'm not saying that at all. But some people need a gym. Maybe, like me, I'm a woman living alone. Maybe I don't want to go to the park. Maybe I don't feel safe around the park.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah,
right?
Very good point.
I've done judo and boxing, so I'm not really bothered. Who bothers me? It won't happen, though. But there are women who maybe have anxiety or they've had a restraining order against an ex or vice versa with men. And they go to the gym because they're in the safety of that environment. These are things we need to consider. Mums as well and dads. There are gyms that have kids activities and we should be bringing children up to be healthy, not stuck on an Xbox all day eating Doritos.
I got 5 kids. I know what that feels like. So, Leigh-Catherine, listen, I want to ask you 2 more questions, and just the first one. What would you want to say to the Welsh Government? Go ahead.
Leisure centres, the pools. Let us be healthy. Just let us be healthy. We're not hurting anybody. The transmission is extremely low in there. They're taking the people that own these gyms and the pools, health clubs, whatever you want to call them, They're taking massive amounts of responsibility, and they've trained their staff. They're speaking to their members. There's signage up. There are gyms taking temperatures. Please let us just carry on, keep healthy, keep Wales moving, and yes, keep the burden off the NHS. That's what it's all about, health.
Absolutely fantastic. Hey, listen, you should be a politician. That's what you should be. I'd vote for you. You got my vote. You got my vote.
Thank you. I've been asked and asked, because I know a lot of politicians like yourself, and my family are politicians. I've been asked so many times to, and recently, you know, for 25, 30 years, people have asked me to stand in different types of elections, and I've declined. It's I know you're
great. No, listen, before we go, our time's almost up. I just want to a point of action really to those who are watching the video, watching the broadcast, wherever you're watching. Obviously, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media. I'm Richard Taylor. Rich Politics is the show. We're a weekly broadcast, non-politically correct, just this Welshman having a rant about all things politics, and with special guests like Leigh-Catherine and so much more. That's very wordy. I'm used to saying it. You can tell, can't you? So you can do that. I really appreciate it. And I want to say to our viewers, this is important. You can see the passion. You can hear, you know, what it means to not just to Leigh-Catherine, but to tens of thousands of people here in Wales whose mental health has gone through hell because of some of these draconian decisions. And it is time that a big, strong, healthy, sensible campaign was put into motion to get us all together to say enough is enough. From gym users to gym owners to the hospitality industry separate, the leisure industry really need to get together. I know many of you are already part of Leigh-Catherine's campaign as well. But Leigh-Catherine, tell our viewers before we go how they can get involved and how they can get in touch with you.
You can get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook, Leigh-Catherine. You can find me. That's my personal profile. There's only one of me. Or you can find us with No Campaign, No Gain on Facebook too. Get involved. You can email your assembly member. You can email the First Minister, but please email the First Minister of Wales email address, not Mark Drakeford, because that would be his constituency, and that's nothing to do with it unless you live in his constituency, because he would be your assembly member. You can also email Eluned Morgan, who is the Minister for Wellbeing and Mental Health in the Senedd, and of course, Vaughan Gething. We need the pressure on. You can tweet them. You can email them.
I can't tweet Vaughan Gething. I can't tweet him. He's blocked me. That's another story.
You naughty boy. You naughty boy.
Well,
you get emailing them.
It's only because I criticised his handling of the pandemic. That's all it was, you know. But anyway, yeah. So listen, Leigh-Catherine, and thank you ever so much for coming on and sharing that. You know, you're a passionate campaigner, and you know, all the power to you, and I'm behind you as well, and to all of my followers and viewers and everybody else across social media. Please get behind this campaign, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening. We'll have Leigh-Catherine back on again to discuss it, but it's important that the Welsh government listen to the people of Wales that elect them, because that is what they're there to do, to represent their constituents.
Big time.
Catherine, thank you ever so much, and we'll catch you all next time on Rich.
Catherine, you waited till the end.
I did. I got your name. Bye.